If you're looking for an easy road to success, one that will get you there almost instantly and you can bypass all the people you see working hard, then I have the answer for you and I'm going to give it away in this video. I'm going to share it with you in this video. Actually, that doesn't exist. I'm just kidding. You see, if this is the mindset that you've adopted and it's one that's looking for quick answers, quick fixes, and to have instant success tomorrow, it explains exactly why you are not successful yet. And to be honest, I recommend that you click off this video because unlike the fast paced instant gratification you see plastered all over social media, the reality of achieving success is a lot different. The emotions that you're going to go through and the different pitfalls that are going to get in your way are probably going to be too much for you right now. It's going to cause unnecessary suffering. So only commit to watching this video, only stay here if you're actually going to and are willing to change your mindset, because otherwise you're going to be essentially just wasting your time. With that being said, you may notice how whenever you start something new, I'm going to use business as an example here because it's easy, but it could be anything, a hobby, a new school, a relationship, whatever. Whenever you start something new, you actually start to make good progress. Like you make progress, it feels good. You're like, damn, dude, I'm making some good progress. And it's all going great and you feel good about yourself. But what happens? You start to make some progress, you start climbing up the hill a little bit, and then you just hit what I call the testing grounds. So the best way I can explain this to you was when I first kind of got into online business and I started this Amazon business that essentially failed. So basically what it was, you order product, have it shipped across seas internationally, and then you sell it out. It's basically Amazon. Anything you buy on Amazon is basically what I was trying to do, like third party seller, Amazon type shit. All right. Now the problem with that was at first I was doing great. I was making some progress. I was making sales. I had consistent increase in my sales. And I was like, wow, damn, I'm making some really good progress here. I was really excited because I was like, this might actually freaking take off. But then I started to run into problems. Okay, I started running into shipping problems. I started running into inventory issues. I started running into pricing issues with competitors. I started running into issues with ad spend. And eventually it got to the point where my sales had completely leveled off and plateaued at this point, and I wasn't making any more sales or any more money, but I was still putting in the same amount of effort. Now, when this starts happening, you're putting in the same amount of effort, but you're not getting any more results out of it. That's what I'm calling the testing ground. That is the plateau that you're hitting. Another good illustration of the concept I'm talking about is called the plateau of latent potential. And it's from the book Atomic Habits. It's basically this graph showing how we expect linear results. Okay. We expect to go up in a straight line, but in reality, it's more like a curve. It's more like an exponential curve where you're slowly making higher highs and going up. However, this is kind of an optimistic view of things, in my opinion, because a lot of times you are literally plateaued. Like you're plateaued going across, you're not making any progress at all. And instead of making like small, like very slow higher highs, you're actually just making no progress. You don't see anything. Worst case scenario, you actually are going down. Like you've come up a bit, you're plateauing, and then you're actually headed back down a little. So this plateau of latent potential it makes sense and it's very similar to what I'm talking about, but it's kind of a more optimistic take where in reality, there'll be times where you're literally completely like stuck at maintenance. You're not making any progress and or you're headed back down. So the real question we have here is why do people quit in this zone, right? If I think back to what I was doing, essentially I was putting in the same amount of effort, but I was getting little to no results. Basically, I'd had a little jump and then I was plateaued, no results. And so, why is it that I quit at that point? Why is it that you quit when things get too difficult? Why is it that so many people seek success, but they can't find it? And so, I want to give you guys some of my thoughts on why this could be. So, the first thing to address is the fact that people aren't enjoying the process. They don't enjoy the process. They want the result. They enjoy the result, right? They want, oh, I want to be rich. Oh, I want to be in shape. They want that. They want the end point, but they don't actually enjoy what you have to do every single day. If you have to, get up every single day and work on a business and do a specific task, but you hate that task, how the hell are you supposed to sustain that for years and years to come? It makes no sense. So what happens is people choose goals, right? They pick goals in different things. And they're like, oh man, I can't wait till I get that. I can't wait till I fucking become a millionaire, a multimillionaire, with this business, or, I get in shape and I got to do this and this and that. But they don't think about the fact that you are probably going to have to do this for a long time. When you see that the testing ground, right? What I call the testing ground, that testing phase, what happens is you think it's like half the amount of time that it's actually going to take. So if you think it's going to take you a year, a lot of times it actually takes you 2 years. If you think it's going to be 6 months, a lot of times it's 12 months. So, I mean, you can basically double whatever you think it's going to be. And that's probably more accurate because a lot of times people underestimate the amount of work that it takes to get something off the ground and to get something going. And so that's what happened was for me, I thought that I would be able to get this going a lot faster than was actually true. Like it would have taken me probably a full year just to kind of get everything stabilized. And I quit because I didn't enjoy that process. I didn't enjoy that type of work. I didn't enjoy dealing with, you know, all the different products and shipping issues and everything that came along with that type of business. I didn't enjoy that. And so when I hit the obstacles, when I hit the hard points, when I hit those points where I really needed to push through, I didn't because I didn't enjoy the process enough. It's like, what's the point? I mean, you might as well do something that you actually enjoy doing every day if you're going to have to do it for years. Because if it's going to take double the time you think it is, imagine working on something for 3 years that you hate doing just to get the result, or 5 years just to get the result. It's like, why not just do something now that you enjoy, and then that'll carry you on, and then all this time in between you're living a more fulfilled, happy life. It makes no sense to do it the other way around. So with that being said, it's key to make sure that you not only look at what you want, but also the process behind what you want, the daily things that you're going to have to do to get what you want, because it's not just about the goal. It's about what do you have to do to get there? What sacrifices do you have to make? And there will be sacrifices. I'm like, trust me, you're not going to just get, you're not just going to go to the gym and get in shape by not making any sacrifices. You're going to have to cut out foods that you love to eat. You're going to have to cut out going out to eat a lot of times. You're going to have to cut out alcohol, possibly, whatever it takes. And so there's going to be sacrifices you have to make, and you have to enjoy that process enough for it to be worth it, because otherwise you have all the odds stacked against you and you're just going to give up. So, my other thought on this topic is a lot of what we want, a lot of the goals that we actually are going after aren't actually what we want. As in, we see so many things on social media and in our environments that actually dictate what we want and dictate the goals that we go after. So you may say, like, one of your goals is to get, I don't know, just something like stupid, like, well, to me, it's like materialistic and kind of stupid to go after, especially if you're not like super rich. But like, let's just say you wanted to go after getting some like crazy car, like Ferrari, a Lambo, just, I don't know, McLaren, whatever. Not that those are stupid, but like, let's just say you set that goal not based on the fact that you truly love like cars, but that you want to say like impress people, which is going to be a lot harder to sustain the work that it takes to get that, because it's not based internally, it's based on external validation. And so if you are choosing goals, really take the time to reflect on them and think, is this actually what I want, or am I just going after this because this is what society says success looks like? Do I actually want to be doing this type of work, or am I just doing it because this is what my parents said to do? Am I actually in this college and getting this degree because it makes sense, or is it just because that's what people do and that's what's expected of me? It can be really difficult to ask those kind of questions because you may find that your whole world gets turned upside down, and what you thought you wanted, you actually didn't want, because it was all based off of everyone else and what you saw, right? There's no particular game or goals or anything you have to do in life. Life is a sandbox. You make of it what you want. And so just take the time to reflect and think, do I really want what I say I want? Because you're going to have to go through the trials and you're going to have to make it through the testing ground to get there. So you want to make sure it's actually worth it, and that this is truly what you want, and it's not something that's completely forced on you by somebody else. Now, one point that I want to mention there is that doing things for external validation and doing things outside yourself, I'm not even necessarily saying that you shouldn't do that or that that's bad, but at least be honest with yourself that the reason you set this goal was because you want external validation, and it's coming more from a place of you being not very secure with yourself. You have to be able to admit and be conscious of what you're actually doing. So if you're going to go out there and you're going to chase goals to try to impress other people, then at least just admit that to yourself. Don't try to live in a delusion where, you're chasing goals for the validation of others. And look, we all kind of do it. You can't really escape it because we're human beings and we're social, but you can take it to the extreme. And so just admit if you're doing that and everything that you're doing is for other people, just admit that that's what you're doing. All right. So the other thought I had around this as to why people give up when things get really difficult is number one, we already discussed actually enjoying the process, thinking about what's behind the goal you set, right? The other thing is actually making sure you really want the goal and it's not just based on external validation. The other thing to mention is that you want to really make sure this is something you really want, not just one of those things where you're like, that'd kind of be nice to have. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I'll take it. Sure, whatever. You want it to be something you're willing to really go after, really invest in. Like this would change your life kind of goal. Those are the goals that you really want to set and focus on because that's where most of your inspiration is going to come from. And that's what's going to give you that drive. If you're just doing some like stupid, like little goals, like small dick goals, it just, bro, come on. You got to level up and you got to go for something you really care about. Like stop playing it so safe. You know what I mean? Go for something that's really worthwhile. Like, like New Year's resolutions, people always like, oh, I want to like stop. I want to drink a little bit less. I want to smoke less. Maybe I'll give up weed. Like it's so wishy-washy and like half-ass. And it's not really anything that's going to super change your life. Like you need something that will completely change your reality in order for you to really like feel that drive and be able to push through. So yeah, that's all. Just choose something that's really worthwhile to you and really meaningful to you so that every time it gets difficult and every time you're in the testing ground, okay? Every time you're in the plateau, you think about the why behind it. You think about that, how it's so meaningful to you that you're actually motivated to keep going regardless, right? It's so intense and it's so fulfilling to you to be able to achieve that you're not going to give up. So that being said, let's switch over to another reason why people give up so easily, instant gratification. Yes, instant gratification. We live in a society of instant gratification. Everybody you see out here with their freaking YouTube videos and their Instagram and TikTok about how they had the 3-month body transformation coming from 250 pounds, completely fluffy, down to a shredded six pack in 3 months. Or how, oh, I made 1 million this year. I made 1 million in 6 months. I made 1 million in 1 year, drop shipping, social media agency, like, oh yeah, in 6 months, bro, I made 1 million. And then they're driving around in their like Lambo or their McLaren or whatever. It's, man, it gets like really sad. So basically my point with this is you're constantly being bombarded on social media with instant gratification. You're seeing all these people like 20 years old and he's uh, worth 50 million. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. You're constantly seeing that. And what that does is over time, you're constantly seeing that. That becomes your baseline. That literally becomes your baseline as to what you think the world in reality actually is. You literally think that all these freaking teenagers and 20-year-olds are running around multimillionaires with fucking Lamborghinis and Bugattis. And it's just not the case. Like that is just not how it's working. That's not how reality works. And so you're constantly being bombarded with social media, TV, the internet, like just constantly hitting you with instant gratification. Oh yeah, have like a whole body transformation in 3 months, 6 months, completely jacked, added on 30 pounds of muscle. Come on, really? Making $1 million in 1 year on your first business, stop. Like, it's just insane. Social media literally is destroying your ability to have delayed gratification and to do hard things. So that is one of the major things that you need to be wary of. And if you think about this, you need to have delayed gratification because the goals that you're picking, right? If you have goals around certain things, a lot of it is based off of what society deems valuable. Like it's valuable to be healthy. It's valuable to have a good amount of money and have freedom and be able to travel. And so these are valuable things. And if you want valuable things, you want to have things of value, you have to be willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do. So if other people aren't willing to wait 5 years to achieve that level of financial freedom, you have to be willing to be able to do it. If other people aren't willing to put in a couple years to get their health to the best it's ever been and to look like they have a great aesthetic physique and they feel like they're in great shape. You have to be willing to do that. And you can't do that if you think it's going to take you 3 months. Like, if you think you're actually going to get those things in 3 months, you're freaking delusional. You're delusional. And it's not even your fault. You've just been conditioned by all these people you see driving around on social media, acting like morons, like flashing their, multi-million dollar mansions, all their cash and cars. It's just, it doesn't work that way. So really watch out for that and understand that for the majority of people out here, you have to be willing to have delayed gratification, and you have to be willing to put a lot of time and a lot of effort into whatever it is you want. And it's really important to do this because we have the internet. Literally, we have the internet. We have the ability, and we have more options now than ever before. We have more options than ever before. Your ancestors would have killed to have these, like our ancestors literally had to work outside all day, low leverage tasks, and was never able to have this level of freedom that we have. And so you're literally throwing away an opportunity of a millennia, of 2 millennia. You're throwing away an opportunity, the possibility of a millennia or 2 millennia with the internet here, because of the fact that you're so indoctrinated and you're so like conditioned with instant gratification that you can't focus and actually flip the switch and use social media as a way for you to get ahead. That's how bad it is. And you're literally giving up on an opportunity. I can't stress this enough. It's like a once in 2 millennia opportunity. Like, or even actually, what am I talking about? Way more than that. Like, as far back as we know, as far back in recorded history, we've never had the internet. So this is like a once in all-time opportunity for you to be able to get on and to be able to actually take action, use delayed gratification, and build a business or build something that will give you absolute freedom. All right, so those are all my reasons. Maybe, it'll be convincing enough to you, but that's why I think most people are failing, and that's why I think most people don't have success. Is for those reasons, I think people are stuck. They're stuck in this sort of plateau, if you want to call it the plateau of latent potential, the testing ground, whatever. They're stuck here because they aren't able to get through the fact that it's going to take them a lot longer than they think. And they're not able to enjoy the process. They're so wanting the goal so quickly. So what can you do? What can you do to help with this instant gratification problem? The main thing I can think of that has worked for me and that might help for you is to stop consuming content and reading things about people who are achieving things in 3 months, in 6 months, because it's just not realistic. Like, that's just not how things work. The better option, especially so even if you're seeing these people on social media, okay, and they're like, oh, I achieved this in 3 months or 6 months or whatever. One, it's either there's two options. One is it's completely fake and they're just a complete scammer, which we have so much evidence across the internet of people doing this shit. So I would say most of what you see is not real. The second thing is that maybe they are real and maybe they did do it, but they are the 1% of the 1%. Okay. They're either super talented or they're just lucky because they were born into a certain situation. Like, you're trying, and so it doesn't make sense to model our success, because this might be a hit to your ego, but if you're watching this video, you are probably not one of the 1% of the 1% who is extremely talented or just got super genetically gifted and ended up in the NBA, or a family who's already, like billionaires. Like, that's just not the case. And I sure as hell not. Like, I know I'm not. So I think for people who want more in life, but like, we're not just like average in the sense of like, we're fine with working for a company for 40 years and, trying to like retire. But we want more out of life. We want more freedom, and we have that drive and ambition. I think the best thing to do is to after model after people who have been in the game a long time. Model after people who were the underdog and who came up. Model after the people who everyone was like, there's no way this guy has extreme disadvantage. There's no way he's going to make it. And he made it. That's who you want to model after, because that's going to have a higher chance of success. If you model after all these people you're seeing on social media who are like, hey, I got rich in 6 months. I got shredded in like 1 month, dude. you're modeling after extremes. So stop watching so much instant gratification content in general, and also in the sense of like these crazy transformations of going from, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Just stop all that, because that is going to condition you to thinking that you're going to achieve things way faster than you most likely will. So just stop that right off the bat. Start consuming content like autobiographies on people. Start learning from entrepreneurs who have been in the space for 10 years, 20 years, and start looking at like the underdogs, the underachievers, the people who, everyone thought wouldn't win, the people who came from extremely disadvantaged points and who took them a real amount of time, a realistic amount of time to get where they are. Because that if you model that you're much more likely to win and have success modeling that than you are all of these, extremely 1% of 1% outliers or the fakes. So that would be my recommendation to help with instant gratification and to actually follow a path that is likely to bring you to success. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Like, that's exactly what I do. I study people and I listen to people who have been in a space and successful for 5, 10, 20 years. You know what I mean? I'm not taking advice from the, you know, 20-year-old kid who just happened to get lucky with like crypto or drop shipping. Not to say that that's bad or that that should be discredited, but that's a very short amount of time to become successful, and it's very young, and it's very short-term mindset, right? It's a short-term cash grab. This isn't like a long-term. And so if you want to play this game long-term, I would go after the people who are at least having, 5 years worth of experience, 10 years worth of experience, and start learning from them, because they're far enough along the path where they can actually give you some information on, what it's like. And you can apply that to any one of your interests. But especially around your goals, I think, you know, when it comes to health and fitness and all these things, there's nothing wrong with listening to people who are doing it in a way where they're showing you their progress and teaching you what they're learning. It's just going after this whole thing with these people who are, they're clearly either faking shit or they're extremely genetically gifted. The only problem with consuming that, like I said, is it trains your mind for instant gratification. And two, it's not a good path for success. It's not a good path for replication, right? You want to follow people who are at least average. All right. So now that we've talked a bit about that, I want to talk about how you can push through this level of the testing ground, right? So if you're stuck in the testing ground right now, how can you get through that? And what I think, and from my experiences, if you, number one, like I said, we already mentioned some of these things, you enjoy what you're doing, as in you enjoy the actual process of getting to your goal. It's not just about getting to the goal, but you enjoy the process every day. And you're willing to do this for twice as long as you think. So you think it's going to take 2 years, just give yourself 4 years. Could I do this task every day for 4 years? That's what you need to ask yourself. So if you can do that, you've gotten better with your instant gratification problems by cutting out content that's like, hey, look how I made $1 million in 1 year. And they don't explain any of the process of how they got there, right? Or, hey, I got, 6-pack abs in 3 months, and they're not showing you how they actually did it. They're just giving you some bullshit. Once you cut that content out and you start focusing on actual people who are showing their real process and or have a lot of experience and have been in the field of your interest for a long time, at that point, I think it's important that you buckle down and you push through this plateau, because you want to have all those other things aligned first. You want to have all the energies aligned in a way where you're lined up energetically to where you're ready for this now. And so I think it's really important that even if you're not getting results and you're stuck in the testing grounds, that you actually continue to push through. And the way I like to think about this is when I'm getting that result, right? Your initial climb, and now you're like plateaued out and you're just like no progress or barely any progress, or maybe you're heading down. The way I like to think about this is almost like the universe is testing me. The universe is testing me to see how bad do you want this shit, right? You've been saying you want this shit. You're writing down your goals. How bad do you really want it? Do you really want it, or do you just kind of want it? Because there's a million other people out there who are trying to achieve the same goal as you. And so I think of it in my mind like, okay, I'm being tested by the universe. I need to stay the course and I need to focus hard on this thing. And one other thing I can say about this is really, I think it's important that not only do you continue down the path, but I think that it's important that you go hard. Like you double your output, you triple your output, you do whatever you can to break through that plateau. Because if you can really push yourself hard and you can go fast, the faster you can move, the faster you'll get results. So if you can, let's just say, you can double your output. If you can double your output while you're on that plateau, while you're on that testing ground, and you're going to stay the course, but you're also going to do more, then you're going to get through that faster. And then you're going to hit the rise. Like as soon as you get through that plateau, you're going to hit the rise and you're just going to be parabolic. Just fucking parabolic, dude. But yeah, so I think increasing your output is something that I don't really hear too many people say. Is when you hit the output, they're like, oh yeah, keep going. Like just keep going. When you hit that testing ground, most people are just saying like keep going, but I think it's actually important to push harder, to actually exponentially try to push harder, like 2x, 3x what you're doing, because the faster you can get through that plateau, the faster you're going to hit success and the quicker you're going to see results. So you don't get like that fatigue. Like, that fatigue effect when you're in the gym and you're working out, you almost get a fatigue effect if you're training too long, your body, it just starts to get tired and you can't perform. It's the same thing. If you stay in this plateau for too long, you're going to get fatigue and you're going to, even if all the other things are all lined up perfectly, it's going to be so hard. So if you can double, triple, quadruple your output somehow, I don't know how, it depends on what you're doing, whatever. My point is put in a lot more effort than you've been putting in, then you will get through that faster. And then you're going to hit that rise in success. You're just going to be, and you're just going to head right up. So that's my thoughts on the whole situation in terms of success right now. Now, this video is for myself just as much as it is for you. And I'm applying the same principles with my goals right now. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just applying these principles to the goals that I'm trying to achieve. It's not like I'm like a multimillionaire or anything. So I'm not giving this advice to be like telling everyone how they should live their lives. This is more just me sharing what is kind of working for me right now, the mindset that I'm in, trying to achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve. And so if you can apply any of it to your situation, then that's great. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this. If there's anything else that you think should be added to this kind of conversation, any thoughts that you have, put them down below in the comments. Be sure to subscribe if you're interested in more of this type of content, and I will see you guys next time.